So, welcome back, guys. We have another special guest today that we were actually just chatting. So, everybody who's been on the podcast so far, Travis and I have met in person and have known for years. But this is a guest that we're actually new friends and we're still currently only Instagram friends. We've never met in person. And we were saying we have to fix that because she actually doesn't live too far from us. She's one of the closer guest that we have. So we're going to change that really soon. But we are excited to introduce you guys to Sierra with Canine Summit Dog Training. So welcome to the podcast, Sierra.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're so happy that you were able to jump on with us. So, let's start with the beginning because again, guys, I was like, I've known Sierra and Canine Summit just from following her page and all of her trainers' pages. And if you guys don't already, you absolutely have to go to her Instagram page and her trainers' pages because they post amazing informational content, but they are also hysterical. They post some of the funniest dog training reels. They had one that came out just recently, the Halloween one, which was amazing too.
Oh, yes.
So you guys have to get over there. You will have a blast on their page and learn a ton as well. So
the YouTube page is robust.
Yes. And to top it all off, it's like 8 or however many people that you have. It's like 8 of the most beautiful women ever. I'm like, how did she get such a pretty team?
Oh my gosh.
It's like a bunch of supermodels. I'm like, oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about Canine not Canine, that's our last one, about Summit Canine because that is a story that I don't know. So how did you get started in dog training? And then how did that turn into your business?
Yeah. So kind of started back when it's funny because people don't believe me when I say that my parents did not allow me to have dogs growing up. I was actually scared of them, which is really funny.
Oh, wow.
But through the years, I developed a love for them and begged and begged and begged for a dog. And it was always a no. But my mom's compromise was that when I was 9 years old, she helped me start a pet sitting business. So when I was 9, I started pet sitting and she helped me, of course. I mean, only so much a 9-year-old can do, but it just started growing and it really, really grew just because my mom teaches us amazing work ethic. And I was also homeschooled my whole life. So I was available and able to take out dogs when a lot of kids were in school. So I would just get my schoolwork done and then go take out dogs, walk them, all the things. I took care of multiple different animals too, but dogs were always my favorite. And so it continued to grow up until I was in high school. And at that point I had, I want to say, hundreds of different clients that I was yes, it's crazy, house sitting, dog sitting for. My sisters began to help me, my friends began to help me, and when I was 17, I was graduating high school and I just knew I wanted to do something in the dog field, but I knew I wasn't wanting to be a vet. I just couldn't handle the amount of school, and I also just can't handle animals in pain. I just knew from when I was a young age that vet was not for me. I also the schooling and the cost and all that stuff was just not for me. So I continued to work after high school and research jobs. And I think it was actually my mom came across dog training. And honestly, I hadn't even thought about that. It really, even 5 years ago, it wasn't that big. It was starting. It was on the up and coming, I would say. And so we researched and found a trade school in North Carolina, actually. It's called Highland Canine. And I went to their school for dog trainers for a 6-month program. And then after that program, I did a 6-month internship. And then after that, I actually worked through their company as a contractor for almost 2 years before I decided, you know what, I'm ready for something bigger. And that's when my boyfriend at the time and I started kind of brainstorming Canine Summit and got it started from there. And we didn't launch Canine Summit until January 1st, 2022. And I had one other trainer at that time.
And that's crazy. So 2022, yes. That was not that long ago, which blows my mind. Honestly,
I know,
even just from when, okay, so it's short and it's long because it started when you were 9, which is wild to me.
Yeah,
you're definitely
revisit that.
Yes, you're definitely the youngest entrepreneur that we have had on the show starting at 9. That's
crazy.
incredible. I also, like, as soon as you said that, I was like, I'm going to make my daughter do that. Like,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. She will start a
Oh, it was
business at
awesome.
9.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that you were homeschooled. I love all that. I love that you already mentioned, like, my mom instilled good work ethic in us. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so that means you have a good, like, strong family structure, which I adore all of that. We have young kids and we're trying
Yeah.
to do that and instill,
Those
faith values and hard work,
Right.
those things that we really hold highly and dear to our heart, with our kids. So I love that you grow up in that situation, and I definitely want to pick your brain on that too. But then also, the business is still so new, but you guys are like doing so good already. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Not only just on social media. I mean, you guys have a huge following already, but how many trainers do you have now? Let's talk about that.
I have 7 trainers. One
That's
of them
crazy.
has not officially started training for us. She's kind of been like her interning process. So she'll start officially working for us in January, but I still consider her a trainer because she's doing the thing.
Yeah.
But yes, it has grown tremendously. And honestly, that was not the plan. When I started with one trainer, the goal was really just pet dogs, and then she does service dogs. We, in our program that we went to, she actually went to Highland as well about a year after I did, or a year and a half or so. She loved the service dog portion. So we did all the things from pet dogs, behavior mods, service dogs, police canines, military, scent detection, search and rescue, all the things.
Wow.
Which I loved. I loved learning all of that, and I really loved the police canine part. Actually, I in my internship I really focused on that. But I just love educating people. I love, honestly, the people portion of my job, sometimes even more than the dogs, which some people completely disagree with because they're like, the people make it hard, which is true. But
It's the whole game,
just
though.
love, it's the whole game. I mean, I just love it. I love just seeing that light bulb go off for the owner. And so I knew with pet dogs, I mean, that's just what it is over and over and over. And it's never the same. And so I really just fell in love with that and educating people. And I already had, my name kind of established back home because of the pet sitting, right? So when I got home, I mean, I just immediately started working, which was a blessing for sure. And ever since I got home from my internship, I have never not had clients, which is God all day. Like, that is not me, but it is amazing. And, it wasn't the plan to grow. It was just me and Kayla. And I have not sought to hire a single person, which is just crazy. They've all
God
just
dropping
come
them in
to
your
me.
lap.
Oh, literally.
Wow.
I mean, 3 of them are now past clients. So they were just clients that fell in love with the process and us. And then one of them is my best friend, which is amazing. And then a couple have just, one found us on Instagram. She lived in Arizona and she moved her entire life to Tennessee to join Canine Summit.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Talk about God in that. And yeah, I have not sought to hire a single person. It's just worked out. And every decision that I make about the business is totally prayer led. And I would not be where I am without the wisdom that the Lord gives me 100%.
It's amazing.
I love that.
Were your parents entrepreneurs?
Yes and no. My dad, no, but my mom, yes. She homeschooled all 7 of us. So I'm the oldest of 7 kids. And
Wow.
she was also an entrepreneur through that process when it comes to she did bodybuilding, she did health, she did all the things when it comes to just nutrition and stuff like that. So she was definitely doing that while also homeschooling, and she just has that in her. And then I think 4 of us kids now have our own businesses, which she has helped us grow from since we were little.
So cool.
Yeah, she's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
That is really cool.
Can you adopt me? I wanna be in
I
this
know.
family. This
All of my
sounds
friends,
perfect.
my mom calls them their kids too. My friends love to come over and they call her mom. It's amazing.
We're
She's
coming to
a power
Chattanooga to
woman
meet your
for sure.
mom.
Yeah.
Right.
As soon as you get home from your trip, I'm just gonna be on your front porch with bags. Like, hi, mom. Hi, sis.
Where's Mom Dukes at? Meet her.
Right. She would love it. She would
That-
welcome you with open arms.
Perfect. Great. That's our new plan.
So with the pet sitting business, you scaled it to 100 clients. You had people helping you. How did you set that up? Like, did you have CRMs and
It was really just unofficial word of mouth, just me helping out people when they would go out of town. I was also working another job at that time. I was working at a restaurant, and I ended up at the age of, I think, 17 or 18. I think it was 17. They ended up promoting me to manager, which was crazy. And I think at that point, I was able to see, like, I can still accomplish things and be young. I've always been the younger one just because I like to hang out with older people just because I connect more with them, but I've always been the younger one. But it was around that age that I was like, I can do bigger things. And so I worked that job while also dual enrolling in college and pet sitting. So I was
Oh
doing all the
my
things, and
gosh.
I didn't know where I was going. I literally, I think it was, I was planning on paying the deposit for college, and I just didn't feel peace about it. I was like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. That's a lot of money because my parents raised us to be able to buy our own cars and do all that stuff. So it was my money that I was going to be putting towards this school. And not saying my parents didn't help, they helped in tremendous ways, but it was still my money. So that pressure of, okay, this is my money that I'm about to put towards something that I don't have no idea where this is leading. And I just chose not to. And, a lot of people were like looking at me, that's not the route you should go. And so a lot of my business and a lot of my journey up to this point, I've been just educating people on the power of just trade schools and not going the traditional route and just exploring different ways, entrepreneurship, all that stuff. Like, there's so much more out there than just a standard route, which, nothing against a standard route. My younger sister is in school for nursing, and that's amazing. But you don't have to go to college in order to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're cut from a different cloth, which I just love. Like the energy. How old are you?
I am almost 24.
Oh my goodness. I love this so
Jeez.
much. So how old was I when I started Pure Energy?
You were 22.
Okay. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
I understand that, like, hit the ground running, and
Yeah.
just hearing your story with what you're saying with, like, you were the young one and, you surrounded yourself with older people because you just kind of could probably have different conversations with them that you weren't having with other people your age. And
Right.
that same story here, like, I resonate with that so
Okay.
much. I am now 33, so this was 10 years ago, but still, I love that in you. And like, I see that fire and that spark, just in the same way that people used to say that about me, like, you have so much
Oh,
energy
wow.
and you have so much spark and you're so driven. But I just love your background. Like, that's where, like, our upbringings were definitely different. And I love hearing, kind of where you came from and the familial support and all of that, because with where we're at in our lives now, that's what we are trying to implement with our children. So it's kind of
Right.
cool to see how,
Absolutely.
like, there's so many similarities between us. There's definitely differences, again, like I said, in the upbringing side. But then it's kind of cool how, like, we're connecting back on, how you were brought up is how we're trying to bring up our kids.
Yeah.
We do not have
I love
7
that.
kids, granted. I mean, your mom is
I will not have 7
superwoman.
either.
No, your mom is
Yeah, no.
superwoman. That is, I can't do, I'm done with 2. 2 is plenty.
Yep.
But that's amazing. I absolutely love hearing that. And it's refreshing to hear somebody so young that is like, get out there, work hard, you could do, and just having this positive attitude around just work and the world in general, and just kind of having that drive behind you, which is really nice. And you brought your best friend into the business, so I'm assuming that she probably has, like, similar core values as you,
Yeah.
which probably says a lot about her and you guys and your friendship in the business. But so you started the business a business at a super young age. You had great, familial background and support. And then that led to you realizing from a young age that, college is not for me. And, I want to pursue this passion, which was dogs, which led you to the trade school, and you went there. And that school sounds amazing. I've actually not heard of that one, but
Yeah.
6 months and then being able to intern for 6 months, that's really amazing. I love that. And I love how it was so broad, because as we know, with working with pet dogs, sure, we're not doing bite work and we are not doing detection and stuff like that. But I'm sure that there's probably things that you learned in that skill set that you actually can apply to your house dogs.
For
Maybe
sure.
things like confidence or just the leadership side or putting a dog to work.
Yes.
Do you see because I don't come from that background. I don't come from, like, a working line background at all. So I'm just, like I said, I'm going to learn a lot on this podcast too. Do you see a lot of overlap there and skills that you learned in those other sectors that you've had to apply to pet dogs, maybe with confidence or getting
Yeah.
their brains to work.
Absolutely. Getting their brains to work, kind of thinking outside the box. I would say a big one is like allowing the dog to work and not stepping in too much, because a
Mm,
lot of owners and trainers do that without intending to. And that's why I encourage people like, hey, take a video of yourself so that you can watch it back and see, what are you doing? And oh, wow, I did not realize I was holding my hand like this the entire time. Stuff like
yes.
that. I mean, especially with detection, you have to let the dog work, and search and rescue, you have to let the dog work, which is so hard. Those blind trails that I would run with a dog where I know there's a person out there somewhere, but I have absolutely no idea where they are. That taught me so much about just trusting the dog, and reading dog body language taught me so much, because you don't know, you're blind. So you are letting the dog work and just trusting, hey, they know what they're doing. I trained them well, I hope. And
Yeah.
also just it taught me a lot too about um, I'd say the biggest thing was, because I was in that detection field for a while, I was sometimes in an authoritative position over cops. So
Mm,
that was
mm-hmm.
interesting. And little 19, 20-year-old me,
Little ego
100 pounds,
struggle.
they're like, yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, what are you going to do? It kind of taught
Yeah.
me just to grow some tough skin too, because there were some crude comments made for sure. And just comments
Mm-hmm.
just like that was really unnecessary. But it honestly just taught me a lot about like, hey, I can still be a woman, even though I look maybe like a child, but I am a woman, and I do know what I'm talking about, and you can respect me. So yeah, I think I learned so much from that stuff.
Yes. And again, I hear that too. So, starting and doing animal control, we had to work hand in hand with
Yeah.
the police force a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
again, me being, 20 yeah, at that time, because I was before dog training. So, like, I think I started kennel aid at 19. I got to
Mm-hmm.
the animal control and then animal cruelty by like 21 ish. So, it was like a weird feeling. And some of it, for me, I know was probably more in my head too. Like, I'm sure maybe they weren't thinking those
Yeah.
things. I mean, and even if
Right.
they were, whatever. But it was definitely like there were moments where nothing was ever said or done, but I kind of felt that way, which
Yeah.
I'm grateful for, because then when I was ready to branch out and start the business and have clients that were much older than I was, and here I am instructing you and
Yeah.
teaching you how to handle a
Yeah.
dog. And if you do it wrong, me having to stop you and explain why, and this is why we do it this way. And sometimes you get
Mm-hmm.
pushback, especially
Yeah.
from just in my case in particular. Again, back when I started, I did have a few male clients that it was a little bit of back and forth. And I was like, do you trust me? Like, you
Yeah.
hired me, we worked together, I've
You
shown you the
hired me.
videos, the dog knows the stuff. Yeah, like if you trust me, like just give it a try. Give it, and if it doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll do it your way, right? And
Sure.
so, but I think again, going back kind of like with you, that time that you spent working with police officers and just again just strong men, that here comes this sweet little blonde girl that's like, hey, I'm gonna help you out. And it could be a
Yeah.
little bit like, and again,
Right.
nothing against like police officers, like we love them, but there just is a little bit of that dynamic when you come in as a young female
Oh
in an
yeah.
authoritative place of like, hey, and
Yep.
there's these like big strong men, headstrong and physically strong, because they have to be for that position.
Yeah.
It is a little
Yeah.
bit of like, oh, I hope
Uh-huh.
hope this goes well.
And
You
what's
know,
funny is, ironically enough, I married a cop, so I can only
yeah,
talk so
there you
much.
go. My dad was a cop, so that's
Okay.
why I'm like nothing against them, but I know them well. Like it was
Oh
always a
yeah.
revolving door. All of his buddies were
Yep.
cops, and like they're strong personalities, at least the ones that I was always
Mm-hmm.
around. And again,
Yeah.
love them. But there's times where you can feel about this big and you're like, ooh,
Yep.
sorry. So that's funny. So, okay. So going back when you said you had that boyfriend, you guys then, when did you get married? While you're starting a business and growing, you just threw in a wedding somewhere?
Yeah, kind of. So we got engaged, and then we got married in November of last year. So it's not been
Oh my
quite a
gosh.
year. So we pretty much got engaged the month after I officially launched Canine Summit. So it
Oh,
was a
cool.
busy
Wow.
season. Yeah, it was a busy season, and then we got
Yes.
married. And he's been my biggest supporter. I mean, to have someone in your home that their job isn't the dogs, but they have to deal with the negative parts of the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. I mean, he's back home right now taking care of them while I'm gone, and he's constantly sending me updates and pictures and videos, and I'm like, I cannot be more thankful for you. But I mean, he can listen to barking and not be phased, where I'm over here with an eye twitching, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for the guy that I got, because not everyone could put up with that.
Yeah. No, again, we hear you. we were in agreement to start the business together, and he had training
Yeah.
experience. He used to volunteer at the facility and come in and train. That's
Yeah.
actually how we met and how Pure Energy got started and all of that. But same, I was just in New Jersey for the business, working with the trainer out there and running the pack walk out there. And we have a rescue dog plus our dogs. And it was like, you got that, babe? Sorry.
Yeah.
And the kids and everything else.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 3 days.
Yeah.
So no, I hear you. Having that support system is huge. And again, you have that good family support. You have that good support from your spouse. And, last week when we were talking to Kate, we had Kate and Casey on from K9 and their support system and how just they, lift each other up, and you've gone out and you've worked with them. So you know them as well. And it is really important. I'm not saying you can't do it without that support, but it just adds a whole new level. And it just, it really, it also makes things fun too. So I don't know if he ever like walks the dogs with you, or like, if you get to spend time, you're working, but you're still spending time with your spouse. So it's kind of fun.
Yes. 100%. I'm very fortunate. He's an investigator in the police department, so his hours are a lot more flexible than if he were on patrol. And honestly, it just makes me feel way better about it because, patrol's scary. But he is able to be home a lot and help me and, be my test dummy. I'll be like, okay, this dog is going to walk by you. And after he walks by you, I'll let you know that he has a bite history with men. Thank you very much. Just stuff like that. He's so helpful with that. He also has no fear, which can be good and bad, but it's really helpful for me. He's so helpful. He loves to take the dogs on walks with me. And it helps to have a buddy and to know you're not the only crazy one.
Yeah, I love it. And again, like this is the behind the business stuff that a lot of our viewers, I feel like, don't really aren't privy to. Yeah. So again, us, having to lean on our spouses having to realize that it's a whole way of life. Like they have to buy into it when they marry us women who have these businesses. And we have to find the right men that can tolerate all of that and do it gracefully and be a help and be able to roll with the punches and laugh. And just like you said, like even Beth, our New Jersey trainer, she has her boyfriend is with her very frequently, and she has a Roddy coming in next week who has a bite history just with men. Beth and I went out and met the dog. Of course, she's sweet as pie with us, but then I was like, hey, listen, talk to Jonathan first before you bring this dog into your house, because she's going to go after him, and we have to make sure. And we got back to the house, and his response is like, yeah, it's good. I'll bring over all my buddies too. Let's go. And I'm like, yes, the support. Like
that's
we need that. Yes. I was like, oh, that's so good. So
consent for bait.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Sign this waiver. Sign right here, please.
Yeah, I'm going to use that.
Yep. But, and I'm sure that ties over into friends and family too. It's like if you have a dog that's really, anxious when there's multiple kids around or just big, family events and things like that. And that's where the issues come up. It's like, okay, let's lay the foundation. Let's do all the training. But then I need to fill my house with people. So it's like, who wants to come over for dinner? And the joke used to be at our house, like, if Stacey invites you over for dinner, it's because she's going to have a dog out and you're bait. So I'm like, but I feed you. So you're welcome.
It's worth it, right? You're being paid for your time. Yeah. We have Sunday family dinners every Sunday, obviously. And I bring a dog every time. My youngest sister is 11. So it's a perfect opportunity. They know we don't pet until we ask. We don't pet until the dog's calm. We don't pet on the place bed. They know all the things. So it's just really, really helpful for me to go over there. It provides a great opportunity for the dog to be around real life dinner and chaos. And I use those kids, but they love it. They're like, I'll come over next time, like it's my turn to be used for K9 Summit. And also if they get featured in a video, they feel like superstars as they should. Awesome. So it's a win-win.
I love that.
So where are you in the 7?
Oldest.
She's the oldest.
Oldest in 7. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's so cool. That's good. Cool. You're a good leader for them.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I've gone through, those battles of being the oldest. It's definitely not easy, but it's got its privileges for sure. And just being able to be that role model is intimidating, but also it's been awesome. And then my husband is 10 years older than me. So him coming into the family, they adore him. He's already, I only have one brother, so he's like my mom's, second son, and just been an amazing role model for my brother because he doesn't have another brother. So seeing God work and all that has been amazing. But yeah, they're all such supporters and so helpful for everything. I could not do it without my family and my husband for sure.
I love that. And, we both come from, a faith background, and we very much are open about how, God is in our business, and
Mm-hmm.
this is his business. We are just business partners in it. Like any ideas that he has, any plans that he has, we are just here to help facilitate that. So,
Yes.
if a new opportunity comes across our table, even a client, if it's not just like, yep, sign them up, that's a perfect client, and we actually have to think about it and weigh options, any business changes, adding, different formulas and things like that to the company, expansion or not to expand, all of those big decisions,
Mm-hmm.
we, same as you, I heard you say before, you have to pray on that stuff because it's his plan and we are just the facilitators of it. So I want to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to stay in accordance to his plan and to stay on track and to not waste time, going off
Yeah.
course or
Yeah.
going against the plan and holding things back. So we definitely, pray on those decisions. We, listen to the Holy Spirit on those things. I get very clear messages. If it's a yes, then I act right away. If I'm not sure and there's not clarity, I don't do anything yet because that's a wait or a no. And then sometimes I do get slapped in the face with a big no. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Thank you
even
for
if it's
that, though.
something you want. Yeah.
That makes life easy.
Even if it's something you
Yeah.
want, it's like, are you sure? And then you get slapped again. It's like, okay, just had to
Got
clarify
it.
that one. Got it this time.
10-4.
But I love that you guys do that too. And I'm sure there's other dog trainers out there that do that, but you're the first one that I've come across that's actually like open and talking about it, just like how we are. It
Yeah.
literally says like on our shirts, which was a bold
I
move
know. I
that we
love
had to
that.
pray
I love
on,
that.
serve Jesus, love people, lead dogs. And I remember coming to him and I'm like, that's our shirt. Like that is our logo. That's our tagline. That's our shirt. Like, cause that is
Yeah.
what we're doing. I'm like, that's a little risky. Like we will definitely have people that don't want to work with us because of that
Mm-hmm.
shirt. And that's okay to us. You
That's
know what I
okay.
mean? And then on the
Yeah.
flip side, there's going to be a ton of people that it does attract and that they're like, hey, I like
Mm-hmm.
that. Or, then it starts a
Yeah.
conversation. And, we have had clients come in who have said things like, you restored our faith. Like it wasn't just the
Oh,
dog,
man.
because we'll
Wow.
be talking about, they're struggling with the dog. And then we use a parallel like, okay, well, when you're struggling in life, like setting the time aside, being structured in your prayer life, working on that, going to him, being obedient and listening. Like we say, with obedience comes favor. We have a t-shirt that says that too. And that's not just for dogs. Obviously, if you look at it with dogs, with obedience comes favor means, the more they listen and the more I can trust you and the more like that the relationship is there, favor comes. You can do more stuff. You can come more places, do more things off leash. We can have this, it opens up this whole new world. But then the exact same thing happens with us, with humans and our faith. The more obedient we
Yeah.
are, that we listen to him, that we have an obedient prayer life, that we do these things, favor comes with that. So,
Abundant. Yep.
yeah. So my question for you is, is your whole team on board with that? Is it all like-minded? Is that kind of how you all attracted to each other? Or is it just something that you operate from? Or is it like core values within your business aligned with it? Kind of tell us how you incorporate your faith into your business.
Yeah. So, definitely not everybody on my team, I don't think would call themselves a believer or a Christian. But they are fully aware that that is where I stand and that is how I run the business. And I will say what's been such an honor to see, or such a humbling honor to see, is almost all of my trainers have come to church with me at some point, which is awesome.
Nice.
That I'm doing something right in that regard. Of, I'm not hiding, what we believe. And obviously, we all have the same standards and morals and all that stuff. That's there. But I definitely can see God working through the team. I don't think we would be as close, if that wasn't there. And I actually lead like a girls' small group on Mondays, and almost all of them come to that, which is awesome.
You're pouring
So
in. That's great.
yeah, it's been interesting to kind of learn to intertwine those two. I will say I'm still learning how to do that, and I look up to you guys tremendously because I love that you have that in your bio. I love that you have that on your shirts. And I want to pursue that while also considering my team as well. So just intertwining those two has been amazing, and I'm still learning how to do that well and learning how to do that obediently. And I think that I can see the fruit there. I can see where it's going. I can see the Lord working, and they know. I tell them all the time that I'm praying for them. They know all the time that I'm here for them. I don't hide that in any regard, and I can see that fruit. It's awesome. It's amazing. But yeah, I'm so thankful for all of them and just the way that we've grown together, and honestly this short time, but the friendships there are, I couldn't imagine anyone else on our team.
Absolutely. I love that. And one of the things we do with it's a Bible study that we do every Monday as a team. We all get together, we do a 30-minute Bible study, and then we jump into about an hour and a half of a Monday meeting. And we have different levels of faith on the team for sure. We have some people who have grown up in it. We have people who literally our pastor's son and daughter-in-law are behind the camera right now. They run all of our social media marketing, branding, all of that stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff. So they grew up in the church. And then you have someone like me who I am fairly new to Christianity. My mom was Catholic, but that really just meant that we went to church on Christmas morning. We weren't active. I didn't have a relationship. I didn't know Jesus. I didn't, nothing like that. So I knew the 10 Commandments and, things like that I had to learn in, communion classes and confirmation classes and stuff like that. But so I would say about 2 or 3 years now, 2 years ago, I got baptized, and then, 2 or 3 years has been my walk, and I'm learning a ton. I do think I jumped in with 2 feet, but that's, what I do with a lot of things in life. So I kind of hit the ground running, and it's changed my life in so many ways. I could not picture doing life without my faith now. I look back and I just see where I was struggling, and I'm like, that wasn't my struggle. That was not my battle. Why did I waste so much time on that? I could just give that over and then listen and be obedient and all this stuff. And not saying that it's easy, because it's not. It's something you have to work at. It's a lot like dog training. It's like, oh, you make it look easy. And it's like, well, it's not easy, and it doesn't get easy. It just, you get used to doing it. Right. So, people will say oh, well, when is training over? When do I not need to use the tools? And I'm like, well, it depends on where you want to be with the dog, so it depends on the dog. It depends on you. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on how consistent you are and how much time you're putting in. And that will dictate, can you come off the tools? If you can, how soon can you come off the tools? Will you ever need the tools back? And that's a lot like our walk in faith. It's like, if you just kind of willy-nilly it and dive in sometimes, okay, then that's the results you're going to have with it. And that's going to be your experience. But if you really commit, dive in, understand it's a lifestyle, understand it is the center of the relationship, and really work towards it, especially when it's hard. So let's say, when a dog is reactive or a dog is fearful and you don't want to train, you don't want to go do those things because it's not fun. It's not like you're just working with a sweet puppy. Same thing in your life. If you're going through something hard, an addiction or a struggle or depression or any of that stuff, some people tend to lean away from their faith, but really that's when you need to be leaning in the most, right? So there just are so many similarities between your dog training and the journey and faith and your journey and your walk there. We joke around, we're like, the whole team made it a joke. We're like, what is dog spelt backwards? And we're like, literally, God, see, it's all intertwined. It's all the same thing. So, there's just so many ways that you can, even just with clients, we talk about it every now and then, and clients come in, I have no idea what their faith background is. And, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just, this is who I am. This is how I operate. And if an analogy comes up that is tied to biblical truth, I will say it. I am not going to hold back. I will say it. And I've had some people where I just see their face and I'm like, okay, didn't land, but maybe I planted a seed. Who knows? And then you have other people who they just light up. And then those are the people who we've gotten emails from that are like, hey, sorry, this might be oversharing, but I just want to let you know that I started going to church again. Like you reignited my
Oh,
passion and for Christ
So
and
good.
my faith
that's
and all
amazing.
this stuff. And I was in a funk. I was in a rut for a few years and there was a lot going on. But then just hearing you talk about it kind of opened those doors. And we're not over here Bible thumping. It's not what we do. We don't believe that
No,
that's
yeah,
the way, but it's just in conversation, how it organically comes up. We do let it
Well,
ride.
it all connects,
that's
right? Like
awesome. Oh, yeah.
anything of value is worth it. It requires water, right? So dog training, right? You have to keep up on it. You have to water that relationship with your dog. The same thing with God.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our marriage, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
got to water your marriage. If you're not focusing on it, if you're not, weeding the garden, it'll just fade away, right? So like you have
Hmm.
to stay, obviously, engage with those things and put time and energy into growing in that space.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
One of my trainers, the one who moved here from Arizona, she is a published author. She's incredible. She's been like our
Oh,
blog writer and all that stuff, but she actually has, I think it's a blog of how much dog training and faith are intertwined. I'll have to send it to you guys.
no
It
way.
like
Oh, that's so
blew
Yes.
my
good.
mind. My jaw was on the floor. She has a gift with words, but the analogies and everything that she used is just reminding me a lot of what you guys have said so far. It was just, she posts on her Instagram all the time. I told the girls, you post what you need to post about your faith. And so she'll post on her Instagram stories because each of the girls have their own Instagram, like your guys's do. And she'll just post analogies, and we don't hide that. We don't hide that at all. I post, all the time about Jesus, and I've had a lot of people, DM me and just say, I love that you don't share that. I'm sure you guys, or don't hide that. I'm sure you guys get that a lot too. And some people have even said, like, I don't consider myself Christian, but I really appreciate how authentic you are. It
Mm-hmm.
strikes the attention of people who may not agree, but it's not shoving it in their face. We're not Bible thumping, like you said, but it's just kind of setting a little spark and planting that seed. And I
Mhm.
love that. So I'll have to send you guys that blog that she wrote, because it's
Please do.
really cool. Yeah.
Yes, like I'm excited. My face lit up when you said that. I was like, "What? There's a
Yeah.
blog about this?"
Yeah.
Yes. So you'll have to. And again, as soon as we get it, we'll share it because I mean that's amazing. I'm really excited to read that. So let's segue a little bit. Let's go into your team.
Hmm.
There's how many you said? 8 team
8,
members.
including me. So 7 other girls.
8,
Yeah.
including you. Okay, and they like you were saying you weren't even looking to grow, it wasn't even on your radar, and it was just something that started to happen. They
Hmm.
all kind of approach you, and then how
Yeah.
did you go about setting that up? Were you just like, okay, yeah, no
Trial
problem,
and
or is there an
error.
onboarding process? Yeah, like tell us like how it went. You can even like if there's mistakes, things you've learned from that you want to share, let us know.
We geek out on all this
For
stuff.
We
sure.
love business. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. Um, all of my team is so supportive in the fact that they're like, Sierra, you are good at what you do, and we do not want that job. And we'll take the dogs. You can deal with the people. You can deal with the complaints. You can deal with that stuff. And honestly, I think God's just equipped me for that stuff, because not everyone's built to deal with that stuff, and I love it. I have a way of just removing myself from it and understanding how to, my mama bear comes out when people get onto my team. I might let someone talk to me a certain way, which I'm learning how to deal with, but if they talk to my team in any certain way, that mama bear comes out. I'm absolutely not. They are just as equipped as I am, stuff like that. But back to your question of just like the process, definitely mistakes were made. And it's not been a long time either. I've just been trying to
Mm-hmm.
learn as I go. And so I'm really, it just, the idea of expansion was made possible because of our wait list. We had a tremendous wait list of like 8 or 9 months. And,
Oh, wow.
it was turning people away because they didn't want to wait that long, which is totally understandable. So it went from Kayla and me to my best friend Caitlin. She also went to Highland. So it was for a little bit a requirement for them to go through the schooling program I went to. However, I will say in the last year, really, last year, I've really kind of stepped away a lot from how that school teaches. Not that they're wrong. It's kind of like the tip of the iceberg. It's just a little bit, and there's so much more. So how I've kind of gone from there is, instead of making it a requirement for them to go to this school, I more so have started, and Kate has helped me through this, more so like an internship process where it's like, you are my little shadow for 3 to 6 months, and we're going to do everything together. And then when you start to take clients, it's still, I'm involved as much as possible for about 3 months. And I've really, really liked that process, just because it's kind of like I'm making little mini me's. And it's just, we all train the same way, but we also have our own touch. I love how everyone's brain works differently. Everyone has a different perspective, and I've made that very known to them. Like, hey, if you think you could do this a little differently or better, please step in. I'm not, superior to anybody. We're all equals in learning, and we all have talent to bring to this table. So just I've liked that process. I want to say it's been about 4 girls have gone to the school, 5, and then, yeah, 2 have not so far, and I've really, really liked that process. And yeah, just kind of molding them into the Canine Summit way, because we've kind of had to learn what the Canine Summit way is, just because everybody trains differently, which I love, but I've been able to, just take pieces from everybody that I've learned from. And okay, I really like this, and let's ditch that. I look back to how I trained a year ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Not that it was wrong. It's just, I think we're just like, oh wow, I've just learned so much since then. And as far as the business aspect goes, I have had to let someone go, and that was really hard. That was really, really hard, just because it just wasn't a good fit for our team. She's an amazing human, just wasn't a good fit for our team. And I kind of had to navigate, what does this look like? And I'm a people pleaser, which is not great when you're running business. It can be good, but it can not be good. And so there was just that time of wrestling, like, okay, God, I feel like I know what you're telling me to do, but this is really hard. But I also need to stick up for my team, and I need to stick up for Canine Summit. And so that was really hard. I mean, and I've changed a lot of how I operate now after going through that hard time.
It's a ton of growth in that.
Yes, so much growth. And it's actually happened again where I was in the process of hiring someone else, and I saw those, I want to, call them red flags. And I was just able to easily make a decision that way, rather than getting myself into a rut again. And then I used to have a really hard time telling people no, when it comes to, clients too, but also just people looking to be hired. I've had a lot of people reach out to ask if we're hiring, and for a while I was like, oh, I really want to explore this idea. That could be an amazing addition. But I've gotten to a point where I'm content with where we are. I really like the team. I mean, especially with each team member added, it's more work on my plate, which is awesome, but it's honestly, more work added on my plate. And so I'm really, really happy with where we are and where we're at, and the client load that we have with the trainers that we have, and the dynamic we have. So I've been able to tell people, no, I'm sorry, we're not hiring right now. Here's another referral I can give you, someone else who's great. But being the team leader has taught me so much. And even my team, a few months ago, we went through this little trial that we had, and 3 or 4 of them came up to me and said, I'm so impressed with how you handled this, because a year ago I think you would have tried to please this person instead of standing up for yourself and the team. And that was really hard for me. It was really hard for me to be bold in that, but it was the right move for our team. And then for them to acknowledge that, it just meant so much. So all in all, yes, I've learned a lot. I've learned much more from my mistakes than my successes, and we're continuing to grow from there.
I love that. And, he looked at me in the middle of that, because there are so many similarities with our company, and like the exact same thing, with the team and growth, and learning who is a right fit for the team, and who, again, great people, but maybe not a good fit for your
Right.
team in that season of life.
Sure.
But as a people pleaser myself, it is very, very hard to do that. But again, same that we're like soul sisters. I'm just 10 years older than you.
So.
Because same thing, it's like, I'm very mama bear, but very protective of my people too. So as, saying and doing things to me is one thing, but as soon as I see anybody even like look at a team member wrong, it's like, oh, we're going to talk about that. So
culture.
Culture.
It is the whole, it's what keeps everybody, that whole team bound, right, together. And if you violate that culture, then that's when you start to see everything unravel in the company.
All right. Yeah. I want my team to know that I will always have their back. If something comes up, I am immediately, going to give that benefit of the doubt if it's from a client claiming something. I'm like, that does not line up with their character. Something's not right here. And not to say my team's perfect, but I'm definitely going to, I'm not going to jump the gun on anything.
No
And there have
doubt.
been multiple things that have come up where it's like, hey, let's take a step back, and I've just gotten a lot of compliments that mean a lot to me of people saying I would not have handled that like that, and I'm so glad you handled that because I would have handled it differently. And I think God's just placed me in that, and it's helped. Being the oldest of 7 has helped so much because honestly, it's kind of like I'm the oldest of 8 now, with this team. Even though
Yeah.
I'm not the oldest, that sometimes is awkward too because I have some of my teammates are older than me, so it's funny, But they tell me they're like, I don't look at you as younger, which is good because that it's just kind of a funny dynamic, but it works out really well. God has a sense of humor, so.
No, I've spoke to you for 50 minutes, and I can already tell you're an old soul, and it's a like your ability to be able to discern is like I feel like you
Oh,
just have God-given gifts to be able to lead. So
that
it's
means so much. Wow, thank you.
you're good to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
I
again, going
appreciate
back to
that.
the age thing, I feel like because I'm no longer in those shoes, but I was in those shoes, and
Yeah.
I do feel like a lot of that is just the thought that we place on ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Because if they did have any type of feeling about us being younger, they wouldn't be there, or that would just be their own
Yeah.
thing that they, even if they did, it's their own thing that they have to work with. I think it is
Right.
us just having that feeling of like, oh, it's a little weird. It's like a kid telling their parent what to do, or
Yeah.
like their older uncle what
Mm-hmm.
to do. It's just, you have that little bit of like, ooh, like it's just
Yeah.
awkward. But you learn to embrace it. It fades, it goes away. And again, I think you're leading from a place of integrity, and I'm so excited for your team. I'm so excited for the growth. God is definitely in your business and working on your business. So with his hand being on that, you guys are going to continue to crush it and be successful. And I'm
No
so
doubt.
Thank
excited for
you.
that. The one thing I did want listeners to know, and I just wanted to ask is, do you just do the pet dog training, or do you also, because you have that one girl that does service dog training, are there different things that
Yeah.
you offer, or is it just the pet dog?
For a while we did pet dogs, service dogs, and search and rescue. Just with the overflow of pet dogs, we've kind of stepped away from the search and rescue just because that takes a lot of time. And it's also just a little niche, it's one area where it just takes more work to advertise and stuff like that. As far as service dogs go, yes, Kayla is still service dog training. She actually became a mom 7 months ago, so she has a little 7-month-old. So
Oh,
she is
Awesome.
a beast and a half. She's got a baby. She's still taking stay and trains. She is also service dog training. So I have so much respect for her. I know I could not do that. Like the service dogs in itself, I love them and have respect for them, and I know how to train them, but do I want to? Probably not. That's her thing.
yep.
So she is killing it in that regard. So yes, we do service dog training. Some of the most common service dogs we train, or popular service dogs we train, is for autism assistance, which is just amazing. We have a couple in training right now for kids, 5 or 6
So
years old. It's
fulfilling.
just fills my cup.
Yeah.
So so much respect for her, and she's just brilliant in that regard. So yes, we do service dog training, and then pet dogs is really our big thing.
Perfect. I love that. And then she's able to certify them officially as a service dog as well, or?
Yep. She does all that stuff to get them
Perfect.
working and all that, and the success stories we hear is it's why we do what we do. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. Because again, I mean, you guys are in Tennessee, we're in North Carolina, but it's not that far. It's you can hop in a
Yeah.
car and be there. But we get
Yeah.
so many requests for, do you guys do service dog training? And so many
Yeah.
people, and even people on their team are like, we should just offer it. And I'm like, kind of like you, I'm like, I get it. My heart's just not in that. Like, I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
amazing. I think people need to do it. It's just not like on my heart. So like to add that to the plate of the things that we have going on. So we've been looking for people. So I mean, I know you guys have long wait lists and things like that, but just to know that resource is out there, and it's not
absolutely
tremendously far away. You're not across the country. So that is definitely something that we will be letting people know. Is it just board and trains? Do you guys do private lessons? What are the programs you offer?
We do private lessons as well. Honestly, when I first started, that's all I did. I was doing like 5 to 6 private lessons a day, and it was
Wow.
exhausting.
It's a burnout.
So now we kind of have a couple trainers who really enjoy the private lesson aspect and they kind of handle that. And I do as well. I've just been working on stepping back a little bit just because with managing the team, that's a job in and of itself, as I'm sure you're aware of. And I still love the dog training part, but I'm just trying to lighten the load a little bit there just because becoming a mom is on my radar too. So I'm just, preparing for that
Yay!
as I prepare for motherhood too. And I don't want to be drowning in that season. And intentionally, because again, I have a hard time saying no, but I've learned how to, you know what, no, everyone on my team is just as great, because the big struggle at first was because it was my business and I was the dog sitter in the area, everyone wanted Sierra. And while I'm, honored by that, it was really frustrating because, I was having to tell them, no, my team is just as equipped. They're just as amazing. You're going to get the same results. And you probably have seen that too. And that's definitely it's not as much of a problem now that we have, other reviews for those trainers and their clients giving them
Yes.
referrals and all that. So it's worked out. But for a while that was a struggle just because people would rather wait months and months for me just because they heard my name, which I love. If I heard someone did someone's hair really well, I'm probably going to want that same person. I get it. But at the same time, I've been able to
You get that,
learn
Urban.
I've been able to learn how to, talk up the team and just assure those people that you're going to get just as great results from this team. They wouldn't be on my team if that wasn't the case,
Yes.
So just learning how to have everyone have their own niche. And so there are some that really love the private lessons and educating people, whereas some prefer the stay and train. So everyone's aware that they can work in the way that they enjoy working. I'm not going to force you to take a certain type of dog or client that's like not your style. And of course, some people it's going to be harder to work with them. That's just is what it is. But yes, everybody has kind of their position on the team, and then it just gets distributed like that, and it works out really well.
Well, I love it.
So good.
I love it. I'm, again, so proud of you. So, I love hearing all this about your business because, again, this is not from a distance and through Instagram, I can see certain things. And I obviously see you have trainers and see what you guys are doing. But, just hearing how you're handling it with such grace on top of how quickly it's happened. And then you're planning for motherhood. So that's a big piece of it, which weighs into, do we keep growing? Where do I fit in all of this? So you threw a wedding into the middle of it. I mean, all this within 2 years. It's crazy, but I'm so excited to continue following and continue watching, and we have to meet one day.
Oh yes, please.
Because I'm sure we could just talk for hours. I'm sure you and I, just because there's, again, so many similarities. I feel like we can learn from each other and a lot of that stuff. So really quick, we end with a little game of this or that. And it's just what you prefer. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just whatever Sierra likes best. And we make it up on the fly. So none of this is pre-planned. It just kind of comes out of the conversation that we heard. So would you prefer doing the detection work or the service dog training?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Probably the detection work. It's so cool. It's so fun. I mean, honestly, too, with service dogs, you can tie detection into that. So, I'm changing my answer to service dogs because there are so many different avenues. There are so many different avenues you can go with service dogs. So that's going to have to be my final answer because you can tie detection into that.
I love that. I'm changing my answer. I love that. Let's see. Are you a night owl or a morning person?
Oh my gosh. I would say with age, not that I'm old, but with age, I was always a night owl, but now with just working so hard. And also this little tidbit, I made it a priority to get up earlier and work out and get my devotion time in. That is a necessity for me to have a good day. So by getting up earlier, I just get more done in the day. And by 9:30, I'm done. So I wouldn't say I love getting up early, but it's also what I need. And so I appreciate that. So I'd have to go with morning person.
Absolutely. Let's see. Would you prefer creating Canva graphics or going back to the old school ways of Instagram before you were even alive where you could just post a picture?
I suck at Canvas. I cannot. I suck at any canvas that you've seen on our page. Most of them have been Mirabelle because she's the artist and the author. I mean, that is her thing. So yeah, no, those.
So we are not Team Canva.
Now I will
You're
start
my
a screen and
people.
cry. Like I've
Yes.
seen Bethany. Like Bethany will just like whip something up, and I'm like, what? How did you do that?
She clicks 50 buttons. She's like, see, just like that. And I'm like, you lost me at step one. I love that you can do this. I never
She's a
could
beast.
have done that. So
I
good.
know.
Okay, so
I
we're not
love her
Canva
for that,
people.
but no, no.
I agree. Do you prefer online learning or in-person learning for you yourself?
In person for sure. I have to see something
Mm-hmm.
and I have to do it. I have to like I need someone to be like, nope, move your hand, move your body, do
Hands
like,
on.
you know, being with Kate, mind blown. I'm sure you can relate to that. Mind blown of just how she's you're moving like a trainer, you need to move like an owner. I heard that so much.
Yeah.
But yes, just that in person is super helpful. And then I think most of my clients are attracted to that too. Just they're very similar. Like, nope, I need to see it. Not that you can't learn virtually and digitally, like I think you can, but definitely in person is my preference.
Good. I have one more, but do you have any?
Is it coffee or tea?
No, but you can ask that. Go
Coffee
ahead.
or tea?
I cannot have coffee because I can't have caffeine. It sends me into an anxiety attack, which is really funny. When my boyfriend took me, my husband took me on my second date, he went to coffee because he's like, oh, she's a blonde white girl. Surely she's got to like coffee. And so we went to get
Duh.
coffee, and
Starbucks.
I heard him order a decaf like frappuccino, and I was like, oh, I'll have the same thing. And he looked at me like, what? And I said, I can't have caffeine, it gives me anxiety. He said, me too, I just brought you here because I thought you'd want that. So we've bonded over the fact that we can't have
Oh, that's
neither of
cool.
us can have caffeine. But I do
love
love tea.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I love tea too, and I love that he just stereotyped you like that. That's perfect.
I know.
And then my last one, just because it was a fun little thing that we threw in, would you prefer to be a boy mom or a girl mom, if you could choose?
Oh God. I really want boys just because I grew
Yeah.
up with five sisters and one brother. So I'm
True.
like, Lord, please. I've always wanted an older brother, so I want that for my kids to have an older brother. But honestly, I will not care either way. But I would love
Yep.
I would love to have boys, but at the same time, I want to see my husband as a girl dad so badly. So
Mhm.
there's
Maybe
that.
you'll
There's
get
that toss-up.
both.
I know.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do you guys have?
We have a boy and a girl, so
Okay,
they're both,
perfect.
and that's why we can speak to both of them. Like being a girl
Yeah.
mom is amazing because like she's just so funny, and the girly thing. She's in cheerleading now, which confuses me
Oh,
because I did basketball
yeah.
and lacrosse, so I was literally like. I would like
Very
give her a
different.
basketball. I'm like, let's do this. And she's like, no. And I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, I buy her a little lacrosse stick for the pool. And she's like, no. I'm like, really? Just cheerleading and tumbling and all this stuff that
funny.
I can't help you with at all?
I can't help you.
But yeah, so yeah, and she's like very girly and she's into makeup. So, you know, it's cute and it's its whole world. There's a lot of glitter, a lot of sparkle. But then you have, you know, a boy who is just like so like, you know, just there's just something about, especially like the boy mom relationship. It is just so like you're so close
Yeah.
and they're so sweet, and then they just want to go out and get dirty. So it's more simple, I would say. Like Shay,
definitely.
our daughter, can have a million toys and a million things going at once, and it could definitely just be personality too. But then you have our son who's like, give me a dirt bike, put me outside in the sand or the dirt, and I'm good to go. Like, come back in an hour and check in on me and hand me a snack. I'm fine. Where Shay is like, you have to be very more like hands-on and interactive and using your imagination and doing all the things.
Right.
So,
and that teaches
either
you
way.
so much as parents, I'm sure. Just teaches you how different they are and everything. Is your daughter older?
Yeah. Shay is 6 and Tegan is 4. Yep. So,
yes.
But you can definitely do it. You can run a business. You can have kids. It's an amazing team that you guys have. You know, even like your one trainer, she has a baby. Like, you know, I definitely don't want women to think that. Obviously, you can be like your mom, like a stay-at-home mom, and that is your thing, and you can thrive at that, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you want to do the mom and work balance, like you can do both, and you just everybody can make it work for them, and it's going to look different for everybody. There is no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you.
Right. That's the awesome
so you
thing
can
about
definitely,
our jobs too, is you can be flexible. Like that flexibility. I love that part of it.
Yes, and you can have seasons. You know, like you
Yeah,
can pull
yeah.
back a little bit more in the beginning, trust the team to handle it. And then when you're ready to step back in, it's like, okay, it's like, I can handle this, take this off your plate and do this again. And, you know,
Scale
Right.
down, whatever you want to do.
yes, again, like with you guys being close like that and having each other's backs, I'm just so excited. I can't wait for the announcement on the page. I will be
Oh, I know.
stalking until
They're
it
waiting
happens.
too.
Yeah.
They're waiting too.
No pressure, but you know, we're all
Right,
waiting.
right, you know.
But where can our listeners find you?
It's pretty simple. It's just Canine Summit Training on Instagram, and then our website is caninesummit.com, and then we have a TikTok too, but I don't really keep up with that as much. But yeah, definitely Instagram.
That's a whole nother world.
I know.
Perfect. Yes. And just so you guys know, it's, you know, the letter K, the number 9, not the word written out. So you guys can follow her, you know, that way.
Yes.
Well, Sierra, thank you so much again. I feel like I know you so much better now. I learned so much about you.
This.
I realize that you're my secret best friend, that you don't know that yet, but you are. And I'm just so excited that I just made a new best friend.
Though, funny thing, I listened to, I don't know if it was your first podcast or what. I don't remember which one it was, but it was kind of like your background, you know? And the amount of times, I think I might have messaged you after because I was like, I have to tell her. The amount of times I paused it, I was like, she's me, just 10 years older. Like literally, she was, like everything. I related so much. Like I think you said something about how you knew you didn't want to be a vet or something like that too. But there were multiple different things that I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so connected and I haven't even met her.
Yes,
and that's just one of the amazing things about social media too, because I remember fangirling over your page several months ago, and I've followed since. And I was like, I just love everything she puts out. I love her personality, and I love how she intertwines Jesus into everything. We're going to be best friends.
We are. We absolutely are. And we're going to set up a decaf for you, regular coffee for me date,
there you
a girl date, and we're just going to hang out. Yes, I love that. And an amazing thing about having friends in different seasons is you can still connect over so much, but then you get insight. Like we have a lot of friends who are like, you know, 10 years older than us. And we learn so much from them. Like we like cling to them like little leeches. We're just like, teach me everything you know, but we're still having fun while doing it because we still connect. So
mentor friends.
Yeah. I would love to be your old lady friend.
Oh, please. Yes. And then, I heard that you guys, you did like your Bible study, and that's really like was so inspiring to me, and how you have different ages in that group too. That's like amazing. Like mentorship is so important. So definitely consider me
zoom you in on one of them just so you can sit in on it and just see how it goes and what we do, and then maybe get some ideas, and you know, or you can give us ideas and we can just collaborate on that. So, because we have a lot of stuff coming in the pipeline soon, and you know, we want to branch out with other trainers. So we'll definitely be in touch, and we'll have to go get that decaf coffee date soon. But thank you again for being on.
Thank you so much.
Everybody go follow her. Go check out her page if you haven't already. She's amazing. She's absolutely out there crushing it, her and her whole team. You will be inspired. You will be excited. And you're going to laugh because, like I said, some of the stuff they put out literally has brought me to tears laughing. They are
oh my gosh, I love it.
Such good spirited people, and you're going to get so much value from it. So thank you again. And we will definitely be in touch.
So nice to meet both of you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.